Today, we're talking about something that's newer for buyers and a bit overdue. And as of July of 2024, it's not an option. It's a big shift in how the home buying process works. And if you're planning to buy a home, you need to understand this in advance. It's not something you want to figure out along the way.
You gotta be kidding me.
As a result of a major class action lawsuit settlement in 2024, buyers are legally required to have a written agreement in place with a real estate agent before that agent can do things like show homes, write an offer, or negotiate on your behalf. I'm not going to bore you with the legal jargon or dig into every twist and turn of the lawsuit. Honestly, it doesn't matter at this point. The case was about giving sellers more freedom to negotiate commissions, but the real impact is on you, the buyer, and that's what we're going to focus on in this video. The reason I didn't do a video sooner on this is because every state was trying to figure out how they were going to move forward with the new laws. I feel like the dust is finally settled and regular practice has been established.
It's about damn time.
In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what these new rules mean for you, what's changed, what to expect, and how to protect yourself in the process. Because let's be real, buying a home is already a big enough deal without feeling blindsided by these new legal requirements. I'm going to tell you right now, most of these changes are legal BS gymnastics, but at the same time, if you're a buyer that's unaware, you could get screwed over pretty easily.
I can't let that happen. I won't let that happen, and I can't let that happen.
If we haven't met yet, I'm Karl Kyler, your San Diego Realtor, and I've been helping buyers navigate this market since 2004, and I've seen a lot of changes. But this one's the biggest. With the right info, it doesn't have to be confusing or intimidating. Well, maybe not as confusing and intimidating. At the very end of this video, I'll explain how I write my agreements with my buyers to give them the most freedom and the most protection. If you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing and liking this video. Also, if you find value in this video and you're interested in working with me to help you sell your next home or buy your next one here in San Diego, my contact info is in the description below. Let's connect and see how I can help you make your next move. Now, let's get to the peas and carrots of this video. First, let's rewind for a second. Before 2024, things were a little more loose. Yes, buyers, agents could have a formal agreement in place, what was called a buyer-broker agreement, but most didn't. It wasn't standard practice, and frankly, most buyers as well as buyers' agents didn't even know it existed. Agents would just start showing homes, they would write an offer and figure it all out later. A true testament to the standards of practice. That's no longer the case. Now, after the 2024 lawsuit settlement, things have shifted. Buyers agents are legally required to have a signed agreement before working with a buyer. This is so strict that an agent's commission is dependent on the date and time the agreement between the buyer and the agent is actually signed. And while each state has its own way of handling real estate and brokerages may have their own specific procedures, what I'm walking you through is how it works in California and how I see things practiced here in San Diego, and what you need to know as a buyer shopping here in San Diego. The new agreement, the BRBC, Buyer Representation Broker Compensation, spells out three key details. Number one, agency. This confirms your agent is working for you and not the seller. Number two, compensation. This outlines how your agent is getting paid, how much they're charging, and whether there's any cost to you directly. And number three, time frames. The agreement can't be open-ended. In California, it can't exceed 90 days unless you and your agent agree to renew it. This might sound like a lot up front, but it's really about setting expectations and protecting everyone involved, especially you. Now let's talk about the part of the agreement that actually matters the most, the commission. In the new BRBC agreement, the commission is technically the buyer's responsibility. Yep, I said that right. The cost to pay your agent is now something you agree to upfront if you're a buyer. But don't panic yet, because here is how it actually plays out in practice. Even though the agreement says you're responsible for paying the commission, what we do and what every experienced agent should do, and some agents are probably gonna get pissed off at me for saying it that way, we ask the seller to cover that cost when we submit the offer. And in most cases, the sellers do. This is exactly how it's been done for years. It's just that now the paperwork makes it look a little different. So what's the real difference of doing it this way? The key change is that the seller isn't locked into paying that commission anymore. They can agree to it or they can challenge it. And if they don't agree to pay the full amount your agent is asking for in the BRBC, that difference falls back on you, the buyer.
You gotta be kidding me.
Now, before you start budgeting for thousands more dollars coming out of your pocket, just breathe. Because in the majority of deals, if this happens, your agent can amend the agreement to reduce their fees so that you're not stuck with the difference. Again, agents are probably gonna get pissed off at me for telling you this. Here's the takeaway. You need to know what your agent is charging. You need to understand what they're doing for you, what they're actually providing, and what happens if the seller doesn't want to cover their costs. This is the part where transparency matters big time. So before you sign off on anything, ask questions. What's their fee? What's included? What's the plan if the seller doesn't want to pay the buyer agent commission? Knowing that ahead of time keeps you in control, and it keeps this new process from becoming an unexpected foul ball to the face. Now let's go through a few real life scenarios so you can see how this actually plays out. Scenario number one is the typical case, the one you're gonna see the most often. You sign a BRBC agreement with your agent for 3%. They find the house that you love, your offer gets accepted, and that particular listing is offering 2.5% to the buyer's agent. Now, technically, you're on the hook for that half-point difference, but in almost every situation like this, your agent simply amends the agreement to match what the seller's offering. Then you're off the hook and no surprise bills, and the deal moves forward just like it always has. Bob's your uncle, you get the keys, nothing feels any different. Scenario number two, the occasional gray area. It's the same setup. You signed the BRBC for 3%, but this time, the seller's only offering 1 or 2% to the buyer's agent. Now your agent has to make a call. Let's say your agent says, look, I'm willing to come down a bit, but the lowest I'll go is 2.5%. In this case, you, the buyer, would be responsible for the gap, but you've got options. Now your first option is you can pay the difference out of pocket. Or your second option, if the market allows, you can increase your offer price slightly to cover the extra commission and have it baked into the deal. Again, all of this stuff should be talked through with your agent before writing the offer so that there's no surprises and no last minute panic. Scenario number three, the extremely rare but technically possible scenario. You sign a BRBC for 3%, you make the offer, and the seller says, nope, we're not paying a buyer's agent anything. If your client wants representation, they're covering it themselves. Now, you're responsible for the entire 3% commission unless you work something out. You've got a few ways to handle this. You can raise your offer to account for the commission and try to get the seller to agree. You can walk away and find another property where the seller is offering commission. Or, depending on how the agreement is written, you may be able to cancel your BRBC and go unrepresented, which I don't recommend, but it's technically an option. Bottom line, these scenarios aren't meant to scare you. They're meant to prep you. When you understand what's on paper and you talk with your agent up front about what to expect, you avoid all the drama. And honestly, that's how it should be. All right, let's wrap things up. Let me tell you how I handled the new landscape and how I've structured my BRBCs to protect you in today's market. First, I write directly into the BRBC that my commission will be requested from the seller in the purchase agreement. I put it in writing right up front. That's my first move. It's always to ask the seller to cover my fee. This isn't a surprise I spring on you later. It's written, it's signed, and it protects you from the start. Second, I give all my clients an option to cancel the agreement within 24 hours notice. Why? For two reasons. I don't want anyone feeling locked into working with me. If they're not vibing, if the trust isn't there, I'm out. No hard feelings. More importantly, if it ever came down to my commission being the reason you might miss out on the perfect home and you're confident enough to move forward without representation, I'm willing to step aside so you can get the home that you want. Period. Now, before you get any ideas, I make it very clear. If you choose to go that route, I am completely removed from the transaction. I can't advise you, I can't step back in later, and I definitely can't fix anything if it goes sideways. But it's there. It's an option. I've never had to use it, but I put it in the agreement to show you that I'm here to protect your interests and not only my paycheck. All right, and that's a wrap for this video. Be sure to hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're interested, check out my other content that I'll have pop up in either of these corners for you to click on next. As always, I'm Karl Kyler, your San Diego Realtor. I'll see you next video.